Hey everybody, it is Prince's Friend, and I am here with the third review for Gone Too Soon Week. This time, we're doing one that I had actually promised I was going to do. It was a few months ago. I did a whole video about it, and it's for Chris Cornell's Higher Truth. This album was released on September 18th of 2015, so not that long ago. And if you don't know who Chris Cornell is, he's kind of been a force to reckon with in the rock world since about the early 90s and has become a chameleon. He performs solo, and he also performs with either of his two bands that he's been with, either Audioslave or Soundgarden, respectively. When it came to his solo stuff, that was always where he kind of took a lighter approach. He did a couple of soft rock albums, he did a dance album. This time, he kind of decided to go for the straight acoustic experience, which is slightly different than what he's been doing in the past. And that's, I think, part of the Higher Truth there in a way. Just a man and his guitar for the majority of the album. It's like a musical truth. The album itself reached number 19 in the US, number 37 in the UK, so it didn't do like amazingly well or anything, but really it's such a good album, and let's get into the tracks and you'll be able to see why. So, you know, one of the comments that I got on the video about Chris Cornell's death really made me mad. And it was something to the effect of, I'm glad he's gone because he never wrote a happy song in his life. Something to that effect. Well, here, the opening track is Higher Truth, and it's actually about feeling sad but finding new love and a new lease on life. So that person can suck it. The song itself is driven by a plucking guitar that sounds like it could be like a banjo almost. Chris's voice is subdued but strong on this track too, which really serves it well. When it was released as a single, it reached number 2 on the mainstream rock charts and number 5 on the alternative charts, so pretty darn good.
Dead whistles on a broken chain, wild roses in a dead man's dream, down and out with everything to lose, but these long dead wishes never do come.
We get to the second track, and it continues again that acoustic feel, mostly a country sound on this one. It seems like he's kind of going for on this. It feels very kind of rustic and very kind of like around the campfire. Dead Wishes really fits his voice because he can literally do any type of music, in my opinion. It's a song about regretting things on your deathbed, but he never really says that straightforward. The poetry of this song is what really sells it and is such a beautiful song. This song is about a love lost, and he's seeing his emotions reflected back to himself in the moon that he's gazing up at. So it's worried about what's to come of his life, and it's nervous about what the future holds, and it's dirty because it feels like everything is his fault. Again, the artistry of the lyrics is enough to really make this a standout song, but we actually have a lot more album to go at this point, so I'm not going to dig in my heels too much and say this is my favorite so far, but it's really, really good.
How hard can it be to share your life with me? How hard can it be to rise with me each morning? I know that it feels like we will live forever.
Then we enter one song that is actually a little bit closer to soft rock than the acoustic that we've been getting on the album so far. This is his song about death itself and how important it is that we hold on to love before we all disappear. It's a pretty sweet song, basically saying that you'll never know when you're going to die, so keep thinking about what could be. Be happy with what you have. And I really dig that a lot, and the song sounds amazing.
I saw you suffering through a fire.
Window is a deep song about the sadness that he sees in his partner, who he loves deeply, but acknowledging that she obviously had to give up a part of herself at some point in her life. He wishes that he could help her be happier, but realizes that he is ultimately powerless about it. But again here, none of that stuff is just said outright. The poetry on this song is amazing. The song starts with "Clouds have gathered, turn to rain, candle on, your sill burned out, weather on your face, time to match the mood outside." I just love it. He is such a great lyricist.
Josephine, won't you come and marry me? I got every kind of love that you would ever need, dying here on bended knee.
So this is a song about longing for the woman that he loves. Obviously her name is Josephine. He's calling for her to come to him so that they can get married. Which is nice, actually. A lot of the time you get these songs and, they're all about sex and whatnot, and this one's like, no, I really want to marry you. This is really nice. But she's nowhere to be found, and his love is kind of just withering away on the vine. He'd give up anything if she were to show up, but alas, she does not. Chris Cornell really sings this sweet, but there's like a sad strain to his voice that you just can't help but fall in love with on this track. It is such a beautiful song.
I can't wait to never be with you again, and I can't wait to lead a life that you're not in, and I won't break, though I may bend from time to time. I can't wait to never.
So Murderer of the Blue Skies is actually the opposite of Josephine. In this song, the woman flew into his life and essentially ruined it, and he can't wait for her to be gone. If you link the two songs, it becomes a lesson of be careful what you wish for, as Josephine wasn't as great as he'd hoped that she'd be. This song adds a little bit of piano, which is new for this album, and I think it adds a really nice touch. It's a nice track though. He even throws in a little bit of electric guitar at the end, making it sound a little more like the Chris Cornell that we know of his previous albums.
But I'll take the truth, the higher truth, the higher truth. I want the truth, the higher truth, the higher truth.
And now we get to the title track, and it's a bright, hopeful track that really makes me happy when I listen to it. It's about how easy it is to be hateful, to lie, and to be evil, but that there's a higher truth that the world is good, life is good, and kindness is harder than you might think. This reminds me of Prince when he talks about the truth, which makes me think that Prince might also be singing about heaven or God as well, or spirituality for those who don't want to believe in God or heaven specifically. It's such a good song, and I think it helps balance out the pretty depressing songs that we've had so far on the album, so we're bringing it a little bit closer to the positive here now.
So let your eyes wander wild and free. Sooner or later they will look back to me.
So Let Your Eye Wander is a pretty straightforward song and actually doesn't have a lot of that poetry that I was talking about on the other tracks. It's basically, hey, you can look around and see if there's love elsewhere. And there are only two options. Either you'll realize that I'm really the only one for you anyway, or you'll leave, and then you'll realize it, and you'll want me back. But you can tell by the way that it's sung that it's not sung in like a conceited way. It's more along the lines of, I know that we're meant to be, and soon you'll see it too. Lyrically, it's a good song. Musically, it left me wanting just a bit more. Probably because of how good Higher Truth was right before it.
My mother's eyes welled with tears of joy, staring at the tiny face of the miracle she made. She would say I love you. She would say I love you.
Wow, this This is such a cute song. It's about his daughter and how despite all the fights and all the troubles that they have in their life, only the words "I love you" matter in the end. And now that she's an adult, he hopes that she'll find somebody that will be able to continue that tradition with her. The music has a really good energy to it, and it's just positive, sweet, and it almost brought me to tears when I was first listening to it, especially after I was starting to think about the letter that his daughter wrote to him after he died. It's a really sweet song. Again, almost brought me to tears.
Circling around the drain, can't find my way back home. The road is long, never ends, dark is the heart.
So this song gives me images of being drunk. Like this is why I don't drink anymore kind of song. He wanders, he blacks out, and he wakes up to his love's face, but he knows that that won't last for long, and eventually he's going to wear his welcome out. I like it musically quite a bit because it feels like it kind of goes up and down, even though it's just kind of the same acoustic guitar feel like the rest of the album. But I think that the execution of it is just so much more purposeful, and I really, really like the track. Again, a really positive song about forgetting about the terrible things that are to come. Instead, this is your chance to be the star. The universe is yours for the taking. This is a little bit more soft rock than the rest of the album as well, which is a good change of pace because this is the end of the album officially. You can tell that Chris Cornell put some care into the song, and his voice, as always, really delivers it quite well. As an ending track to the album, too, it's super good. The version of this album that I got actually has 3 more tracks that I'm going to go over with you real quick, but I just want to note that this is where the album officially ends, and I am completely happy with the ending here.
So put a bend in the road, I'm going tired, straight lines. I set off.
This is another great track. It's about how life seemed like it was going in one direction and then surprises happen. Most notably, it's another song about his love for his daughter and how much she's changed his life for the better. There's the addition of a choir in the backing of this track too, which I think really enhances the sound, and it makes it stand out a little bit more. You know, sometimes you get these bonus tracks and they're kind of throwaway tracks, but this one's really, really good. I feel like I say really, really good a lot.
And I'm on the side wrong again. I'm on the wrong side, my friend. Whichever way the wind is blown, no matter where the river bends, I'm on the side wrong.
So Wrong Side is a beautiful blues song, basically about how trouble follows him throughout his years. It talks about how his father died and how the love of his life was almost stolen from him and how he saw people die right in front of him, and now he's on the wrong side. If you take this literally, it means that he believes that he should have died a bunch of times, but for some reason he didn't. And it's really well put together both lyrically and musically, and I'm surprised that this one didn't make it onto the album proper, to be honest. I could see switching this one out for 1 or 2 of the other tracks.
And when we're gone, and it's all said and done, what will we leave? The story's told, will they speak of us well?
And now we're to the last bonus track, Misery Chain, and it's a song about leaving a legacy. He sings about accumulating chains of misery throughout his life and eventually wanting to hand those links off to other people. Yes, these chain links are burdens, but it also reminds the people of him and keeps him in their memory. It's almost creepy to think that this is the last song on the album, the last song that you experience before then finding out that Chris Cornell died. Musically, it's a little basic compared to some of the other tracks, but the lyrics more than make up for it in my opinion. So in conclusion, Chris Cornell's voice is the reason that I keep coming back. Regardless of whether it's hard rock with Soundgarden, alternative with Audioslave, or the softer rock that we get in his solo stuff, Chris Cornell had a voice you only get once in a generation. And on Higher Truth, we get a raw version of that voice that we've come to love. No tricks, no auto-tunes, there's no band to hide behind. Chris delivers a heartfelt, sometimes sad, and overall uplifting experience on this album. I give it 4.5 out of 5, personally. Mostly because there were a few tracks that I think could have been cut or swapped for 1 or 2 of the bonus tracks to really make it stand out more. But honestly, this has become one of my favorites of his solo efforts because it's so deep and emotional. But what did you think of Chris Cornell's Higher Truth? And let me know what your favorite track is. While you're at it, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. I forgot that on a couple of the other videos. It's hard to be back from vacation. Also check me out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Patreon at patreon.com/princessfriend. May you live to see the dawn.